अंगज जनक देवगज जनक देवा वृंदावन सार जनक देव वृंदावन सारं रवर धर मातरं श्यामला कविहंग सदया पाग सौग श्यामला कविहंग दुरंग सदया पाग सौग रौगा
That was indeed a marvelous performance. It was really mesmerizing. Thank you, Veena. Next, I would like to invite Dr. S. Chitra IAS, the Director of Kerala State IT Mission, for the keynote speech and to announce the Mapathon Awards.
Namaskaram. I'm very sorry I'm not able to switch on the video because I'm traveling. നേരത്തെ പ്ലാൻ ചെയ്തതല്ലായിരുന്നു. ഡോക്ടർ ജോയ് വർഗീസ് എന്നെ നേരത്തെ ക്ഷണിച്ചതാണ്, പക്ഷെ അപ്രതീക്ഷിതമായിട്ടൊരു ചെറിയ യാത്രയിലായി പോയി. അപ്പോൾ വളരെ സന്തോഷം ഇന്ന് ഈ മീറ്റിങ്ങിൽ നിങ്ങളോടൊക്കെ സംസാരിക്കാൻ സാധിച്ചതിൽ. അതിനെ ഇൻവൈറ്റ് ചെയ്ത ഡോക്ടറിനും അതേപോലെ നക്ഷ ടീമിനും നന്ദി. മാപ്പത്തോൺ കേരളം പദ്ധതി IT മിഷൻ നടപ്പിലാക്കി തുടങ്ങുന്നത് 2019 മുതലാണ്. നമുക്കറിയാം, 2 വലിയ പ്രളയങ്ങൾ 2018-ലും 2019-ലും കേരളത്തെ അൺപ്രസിഡന്റഡ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള രീതിയിൽ പിടിച്ചു കൊലുക്കുകയുണ്ടായി. അപ്പൊ ആ സമയത്ത് നിങ്ങളെപ്പോലെയുള്ള ടാലന്റഡ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള യുവജനങ്ങളാണ് കേരളത്തിനെ ഇന്ന് തിരിച്ച് ഇതേ രീതിയിലാവാൻ ഏറ്റവും അധികം സഹായിച്ചത്. അപ്പോൾ ആ ഒരു പ്രയത്നത്തിൽ നിന്ന് പ്രചോദനം ഉൾക്കൊണ്ടുകൊണ്ടാണ് മാപ്പത്തോൺ പദ്ധതി ആരംഭിക്കുന്നത് തന്നെ. അപ്പോൾ അന്ന് ഞാനൊക്കെ ഫീൽഡിൽ ജോലി ചെയ്തിരുന്നു. അന്ന് നമ്മളൊക്കെ ഫേസ് ചെയ്തിരുന്ന ഏറ്റവും വലിയ പ്രശ്നം കേരളത്തിന് തനതായ ഒരു മാപ്പ് നമുക്ക് ആവശ്യമുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ പെട്ടെന്നൊരു ലാൻഡ്മാർക്ക് ആഡ് ചെയ്ത് അത് ഉപയോഗിക്കാൻ തക്ക രീതിയിൽ ഒരു മാപ്പ്, കേരളത്തിന്റെ നാച്ചുറൽ റിസോഴ്സസ്, പഞ്ചായത്തുകളുടെ റിസോഴ്സസ് ഒക്കെ മാപ്പ് ചെയ്ത ഒരു മാപ്പ് ഇല്ല എന്നുള്ളതായിരുന്നു. തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും പ്രൊപ്രൈറ്ററി മാപ്സ് ഒരുപാടുണ്ട്, പക്ഷേ നമുക്ക് ആവശ്യത്തിന് ഉപകരിക്കുന്ന രീതിയിൽ ഉപയോഗിക്കാൻ പലപ്പോഴും സാധിക്കാറില്ല. അങ്ങനെയാണ് കമ്മ്യൂണിറ്റി ഇൻവോൾവ്മെന്റോട് കൂടി ഒരു സോഷ്യൽ മാപ്പിംഗ് പദ്ധതി ആരംഭിക്കുന്നത്. അപ്പൊ അതിൽ നമ്മളോട് ഏറ്റവും ആദ്യം നമ്മളോട് കൂടി സഹകരിച്ചത് നാഷണൽ സർവീസ് സ്കീമാണ്. ഇപ്പോൾ ഈ പദ്ധതി കോവിഡ് വന്ന 2019 അവസാനത്തോടു കൂടിയാണ് തുടങ്ങിയത്. പക്ഷെ 2020 ആദ്യത്തോടു കൂടി തന്നെ ലോക്ക്ഡൌൺ പ്രഖ്യാപിച്ചു. നമ്മൾ വിചാരിച്ച രീതിയിൽ പരിപാടികൾ മുമ്പോട്ട് കൊണ്ടുപോകാൻ സാധിച്ചില്ല. എന്നാൽ NSS വളരെ സന്തോഷത്തോടു കൂടി, വളരെ ആവേശത്തോടു കൂടി ഈ പരിപാടി ഏറ്റെടുക്കുകയും എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നു ഒരു വളരെ സക്സസ്ഫുൾ എന്ന് പറയാവുന്ന രീതിയിലേക്ക് ഇപ്പോൾ തന്നെ എത്തിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. വരുന്ന മാസങ്ങളിൽ ഒരുപാട് കോളേജുകളിൽ നിങ്ങളെപ്പോലെയുള്ള വിദ്യാർത്ഥിനികളുമായിട്ട് ചേർന്ന ക്യാമ്പുകൾ NSS പ്ലാൻ ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്. വളരെ സന്തോഷം ഡോക്ടർ ജോയ്, വളരെ സന്തോഷം NSS ഈ രീതിയിൽ ഈ പരിപാടി ഏറ്റെടുത്തതിന്. ഇന്നിവിടെ ഈ ലിസ്റ്റ്, അതായത് ഈ ഒരു അപേക്ഷ സമർപ്പിച്ച് മാപ്പിംഗ് പ്രകടനം വിലയിരുത്തി അവാർഡ് പ്രഖ്യാപിക്കുന്ന ഒരു ചടങ്ങ് കൂടിയുണ്ട്. അപ്പൊ അതിനായിട്ട് ഡോക്ടർ ജോയ് അയച്ച ലിസ്റ്റ് കണ്ടപ്പോൾ എനിക്ക് ഒരുപാട് സന്തോഷം തോന്നി. കാരണം നേരത്തെ തന്നെ IT മിഷനിൽ മിസ് അമിത കെ ബിജു മാഡത്തിന്റെ പ്രവർത്തനങ്ങൾ, മാഡം ഇത്രയും കാര്യമായിട്ട് മാപ്പത്തോൺ ഏറ്റെടുത്തതിനെ പറ്റി ഒക്കെ അരുണൊക്കെ സംസാരിക്കുന്നുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. IT മിഷന്റെ ഫേസ്ബുക്ക് പേജിൽ അമിതയുടെ പ്രകടനത്തെ പറ്റി ഒരു പോസ്റ്റ് വന്നിരുന്നു. ഒരുപാട് സന്തോഷം അമിത ഈ രീതിയിൽ പങ്കെടുക്കുന്നതിന്, ഈ രീതിയിൽ പ്രചോദനമായിട്ട് നിലകൊള്ളുന്നതിന്. അപ്പൊ ഞാൻ ഡോക്ടർ ജോയുടെ ചടങ്ങിലുള്ള സംബന്ധിക്കുന്ന എല്ലാവരുടെയും അനുവാദത്തോടു കൂടി അവാർഡിനായിട്ട് തിരഞ്ഞെടുത്ത വിദ്യാർത്ഥികളെ പേര് അനൗൺസ് ചെയ്യുകയാണ്. Am I supposed to read from a presentation? I think. Yeah. ഇതിൽ ആദ്യത്തെ പേര് തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും മിസ് അമിത കെ ബിജു, അമൽ ജ്യോതി കോളേജ് ഓഫ് എഞ്ചിനീയറിംഗ്. Congratulations, Amita. So you are selected as the best OSM cartographer. The next person is Mr. Vipin Das K from LBS College of Engineering, Kasaragod. Congratulations, Vipin. Hopefully we can meet sometime soon if situation permits. The next person is Mr. Finu Muhammad Shaheen from KMCT College of Engineering. Congratulations, Finu. Again, Mr. Amalraj K, College of Engineering, Munnar. Congratulations, Amalraj. മൂന്നാർ പോലെയുള്ള സ്ഥലത്ത് ഇതുപോലെയുള്ള ഒരു കമ്മ്യൂണിറ്റി മാപ്പിംഗ് ഇനിഷ്യേറ്റീവിന് വളരെ വലിയ ഒരു പ്രസക്തിയുണ്ട്. താങ്ക്സ് അമൽ ഫോർ ടേക്കിംഗ് ദിസ് അപ്പ്. നെക്സ്റ്റ് ഇസ് മിസ്റ്റർ മുഹമ്മദ് അദീൽ അഷ്റഫ് ഫ്രം ഗവൺമെന്റ് എഞ്ചിനീയറിംഗ് കോളേജ്, വയനാട്, മൂന്നാർ പോലെയുള്ള സ്ഥലങ്ങളിൽ നിന്ന് വിദ്യാർത്ഥികൾ വലിയ രീതിയിൽ പങ്കെടുക്കുന്ന ഒരുപാട് സന്തോഷം തരുന്നു. കൺഗ്രാറ്റുലേഷൻസ് മുഹമ്മദ്. സോ ഒരു കീനോട്ട് അഡ്രസ്സ് നിങ്ങൾക്ക് നഷ്ടമാവുകയാണ്, അതിന് വളരെയധികം ക്ഷമ ചോദിക്കുന്നു. പക്ഷേ ഈ പറഞ്ഞതുപോലെ വിദ്യാർത്ഥികളായിട്ടിരിക്കുമ്പോൾ തന്നെ സാമൂഹിക പ്രതിബദ്ധതയുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങളിൽ ഇടപെടാനും വളരെ നല്ല രീതിയിലുള്ള പ്രവർത്തനം തുടർ ജീവിതത്തിൽ ചെയ്യാൻ ഉതകുന്ന രീതിയിൽ പ്രചോദനം ഉൾക്കൊള്ളാനും പറ്റിയ ഒരു അവസരമാണ് മാപ്പത്തോൺ പദ്ധതി. അത് കൂടാതെ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ഇപ്പോൾ പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് എഞ്ചിനീയറിംഗ് വിഭാഗത്തിൽ നിന്നുള്ള കുട്ടികളായതുകൊണ്ട് ഇനി ജോലി ചെയ്യുമ്പോഴോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഭാവി ജീവിതത്തിൽ ഏത് ജോലിയിലായിരുന്നാലും ഈ ഒരു എക്സ്പീരിയൻസ് നിങ്ങൾക്ക് വളരെയധികം സഹായകമായിരിക്കും. ഇതിന്റെ ഒരു സിഗ്നിഫിക്കൻസ് ഞാൻ നേരത്തെ പറഞ്ഞതുപോലെ പ്രളയം അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ദുരന്തം നിവാരണം എന്നുള്ള രീതിയിൽ മാത്രമല്ല. നിങ്ങൾക്കറിയാം, കേരളം ഈ അടുത്ത് തദ്ദേശ സ്വയംഭരണ ഇലക്ഷൻ കഴിഞ്ഞ് നമ്മുടെ പുതിയ ജനപ്രതിനിധികളെ തെരഞ്ഞെടുത്തിരിക്കുന്ന ഒരു സമയം കൂടിയാണ്. അപ്പോൾ ഈ രീതിയിലുള്ള നാച്ചുറൽ റിസോഴ്സസ് മാപ്പ് ചെയ്ത, പഞ്ചായത്തിന്റെ അസറ്റുകൾ മാപ്പ് ചെയ്ത മാപ്പുകൾ പഞ്ചായത്ത് ജനപ്രതിനിധികൾക്ക് വലിയ ഒരു എന്താ പറയുക, അവരുടെ പ്രവർത്തനങ്ങൾ തുടങ്ങുന്നതിനുള്ള വലിയൊരു മൂലധനമാണ്. അവർക്ക് അവരുടെ ഏത് രീതിയിൽ, ഇപ്പോൾ റോഡുകൾ നല്ല രീതിയിലല്ലാത്തത് എവിടൊക്കെയാണ്, ജല ദൗർലഭ്യമുള്ളത് ഏതൊക്കെ ഏരിയകളിലാണ്, അതുപോലെയുള്ള ധാരാളം പ്രശ്നങ്ങൾ ഒറ്റ നോട്ടത്തിൽ ഐഡന്റിഫൈ ചെയ്യാനും അതിനാവശ്യമായിട്ടുള്ള പ്രവർത്തനങ്ങൾ നടത്താനും ഈ രീതിയിലുള്ള മാപ്പുകൾ സഹായിക്കും. അപ്പൊ അതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ NSS ഈ ഒരു പ്രോജക്റ്റ് ഏറ്റെടുത്തിരിക്കുന്നത് മിക്ക കോളേജുകളും 10 പഞ്ചായത്തുകളെ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ 20 പഞ്ചായത്തുകളെ ഏറ്റെടുത്ത് അവർക്ക് ആവശ്യമായിട്ടുള്ള മാപ്പുകൾ, അതായത് ജനപ്രതിനിധികളുടെ സജീവമായ പങ്കാളിത്തത്തോടു കൂടി അവരുടെ സജഷൻസ് ഉൾക്കൊണ്ടുകൊണ്ട് അവർക്ക് ആവശ്യമായിട്ടുള്ള ലാൻഡ്മാർക്കുകൾ, ഗവൺമെന്റ് ഓഫീസുകളാവാം, ഒരു സ്ഥലത്തെ വാട്ടർ റിസോഴ്സസ് ആവാം, മറ്റ് ഏതെങ്കിലും അസറ്റ്സ് ആവാം, അവർ ആവശ്യപ്പെടുന്നതിനനുസരിച്ച് മാപ്പ് ചെയ്ത് കൊടുക്കുക എന്നുള്ള ഒരു സമീപനമാണ് NSS എടുത്തിട്ടുള്ളത്. അത് തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും നിങ്ങൾ സൃഷ്ടിക്കുന്ന ഈ മാപ്പ് ഒരു 5 വർഷം കഴിയുമ്പോൾ നിങ്ങൾ തന്നെ നോക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ നിങ്ങൾ അത്ഭുതപ്പെട്ടു പോകും. കാരണം ആ രീതിയിലുള്ള മാറ്റം അവിടുത്തെ ജനപ്രതിനിധികൾ കൊണ്ടുവന്നിട്ടുണ്ടാവും. ഇന്ന് കേരളം നമ്മൾ ഈ കാണുന്ന ഈ രീതിയിലെ വികസനം മുന്നേറ്റത്തിൽ എത്തി നിൽക്കുന്നത് നമ്മുടെ ഡീസെൻട്രലൈസ്ഡ് പ്ലാനിങ് ആൻഡ് ഡീസെൻട്രലൈസ്ഡ് അഡ്മിനിസ്ട്രേഷൻ കാരണമാണ്. നമുക്കറിയാം, ഈ ദുരന്തത്തിന്റെ ഒക്കെ സമയത്ത് നമ്മൾ ഏറ്റവും അധികം നമ്മളെ കണ്ടത്, നമുക്ക് ആവശ്യങ്ങൾ പരിഹരിച്ചു തന്നത് തദ്ദേശ സ്വയംഭരണ സ്ഥാപനങ്ങളിലെ ജനപ്രതിനിധികളാണ്. അപ്പൊ അവർക്കുള്ള ഏറ്റവും വലിയൊരു റിസോഴ്സാണ് നിങ്ങൾ ഈ ഒരു ആക്ടിവിറ്റിയിലൂടെ സൃഷ്ടിച്ചു കൊടുക്കുന്നത്. അത് ഈ ഒരു ലാൻഡ്മാർക്സ് ഏറ്റവും കൂടുതൽ ആഡ് ചെയ്യുക എന്നുള്ളതിൽ മാത്രമല്ല, അത് തുടർന്നും അതിലാവശ്യമായിട്ടുള്ള മോഡിഫിക്കേഷൻസ് വരുത്തുന്നതിൽ, കറക്ഷൻസ് വരുത്തുന്നതിലൊക്കെ നിങ്ങളുടെ സജീവമായിട്ടുള്ള പങ്കാളിത്തം ഉണ്ടാവണം. നല്ല രീതിയിലുള്ള ഒരു മാപ്പ് കേരളത്തിനായിട്ട് നമുക്ക് ഒരുമിച്ച് സൃഷ്ടിച്ചെടുക്കാം. ഒന്നുകൂടി ഇതിൽ പങ്കെടുക്കുന്ന നിങ്ങൾക്ക് എല്ലാവർക്കും, വിജയികളായിട്ടുള്ളവർക്കും അല്ലാത്തവർക്കും ഒക്കെ പ്രത്യേകമായിട്ടുള്ള അഭിനന്ദനങ്ങൾ നേരുന്നു. NSSന് എല്ലാവിധമായിട്ടുള്ള ആശംസകളും നേരുന്നു. വളരെ നന്ദി.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for sparing your valuable time.
Thank you. Pleasure is mine. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your valuable words announcing the award. Next, let me invite Dr. Muhammad Shukuti, Principal of LBS College of Engineering, Kasaragod, for the felicitation.
Respected dignitaries, all participants, good evening. I am extremely happy and proud that our NSS unit has actively participating in programs, especially national level programs. Now they are coordinating with the two other colleges. Whatever our NSS unit has done till now, have all the programs have been done successfully. I expect and wish more success in this program, and I thank all who have given me the chance to speak here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Next, I would like to invite Dr. Anita V.S., Principal of Government Engineering College, Wayanad, for the felicitation.
Sorry for the inconvenience made. Next, let me invite Mr. Dr. Rupen B. Varghese, Principal of College of Engineering and Management, Punnapara. I welcome you, sir.
Extremely sorry for the delay. Both the principals are unable to join right now due to some technical difficulties. Next, I would like to invite Dr. Sunish PU, the North Zone Regional Coordinator, for the felicitation.
Thank you. Respected Minister, respected Director, IT Mission, respected Program Coordinator, Joy sir, and respected principals and dear colleagues, program officers, students, volunteers, participants from other states. It's my pleasure to be here with this inaugural program along with you, and I wish all the success to the participants as well as my wishes to those who have won the prizes. And I wish all the very best for the conduct of the program. And personally, I would like to say that College of Engineering Punapra, College of Government Engineering College Wayanad, LBS College of Engineering Kasaragod, they have taken tremendous effort to do this event, and I personally thank all the program officers for calling me and giving me an opportunity in this great event. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Next, let me invite Sri Amujit TR, Regional Coordinator of Alapura, Kottayam and Idukki. I welcome you, sir.
Amjit sir has faced some difficulties to join us. We hope he can join us soon. Next, I would like to invite Srimati Manjuvi, the Program Officer of LBS College of Engineering Kasaragod, for the felicitation.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Respected President of the function, Dr. Joy sir, NSS Program Coordinator, APJ Abdul Kalam Technological University, NSS Cell, Honorable Minister Shri E. Chandrasekharan sir, Dr. S. Chitra AS Madam, Director of IT Mission, Kerala, Dr. Muhammad Shukur sir, Principal of LBS College of Engineering, Kasaragod, Dedish sir, Dr. Sunish sir, Regional Coordinator North Zone, Amjit sir, then principals of Wayanad and Punapra engineering colleges, deans of various engineering colleges, dear program officers, and my dear participants. A very good evening to you all. As all of us know that today we have gathered here for the inaugural function of Naksha, a mapping program. 1 week program of mapping, that is training and mapping. Through this program, we intend to make the places in your locality in OSM, that is open street mapping. Already previous speakers explained about open street mapping and all. So that this mapping will help the public. When we map, especially the public buildings, roads, etc., The data can be utilized by anyone without any extra payment for the benefit of the society. Now, through our NSS volunteers under APJ Abdul Kalam Technological University, we are doing mapping in Kerala, all over Kerala. We also extend this project to all over India so that we will get a digital map without any cost to anybody. Intending this, we have organized this 1 week program here. As a part of this, all the participants will get training how to map your places and how to map your buildings, public buildings, roads, etc. in your locality. Hope all of you will enjoy, excel, and get benefited through this program. I take this opportunity to congratulate all the winners of Mapathon. Congratulations to the winners. I also take this opportunity to recognize the efforts taken by the NSS units of 3 engineering colleges and APJ Abdul Kalam Technological University. And I hope all the volunteers from all over India can do this project in a good way and we can make a better India together. I once again wish all the success for the program and all the success for all the participants. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Next, let me invite Professor Anasyamam, Program Officer of Government Engineering College, Wayanad, for the felicitation.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Respected Chief Guest, our Revenue Minister, Chandrasekharan Sir, Dr. S. Chitra IAS, our NSS Cell Coordinator, Joy Sir, and faculties, principals from LBS College, then GC Wayanad, then Punapura College of Engineering and Management, then the coordinators behind this Naksha program, then our NSS volunteers, Manasu Nannavate. And I'm really honored to be part of this inauguration ceremony of Naksha. We all know that it's a 7-day training program. First of all, I wish this program will become a great success, because we all know that from 2018 onwards, Kerala government and also the citizens of Kerala understood that government or government department alone can do big differences. We need a participation from all the people in our state. So with that view, Kerala government initiated different good programs in our state, like Sanadha Sena, and also this Mapathon program under Kerala State IT Mission. And I think 2019 onwards, our volunteers started this Mapathon program. They went for internship, and also this online camp. Now NSS volunteers are conducting online camp all over the Kerala. And in this online camp also, they added open street mapping as a training program in their camp schedule. So I'm really happy that our students is really participating in making a difference in our state, because this map will really help even during the disaster, and also I think during this planning of road transportation, bridge making, and also water resource planning. So whatever the planning which is going to happen in Kerala, we really need a good map. And for that, we need an open source. open source is a great solution, like Android app and also Ubuntu app. So all these open source created a great impact to the society. So like that, I hope this open source mapping and Mapathon program and Naksha will create a great impact to the society through our NSS volunteers. And I once again, and also I congratulate the winners of the Mapathon program, and also one of my student NSS volunteers also is there in that list. So I'm really happy for that. And once again, I'm congratulating all the coordinators. Thank you.
Thank you, Anas sir. Next, we have a cultural item. We have a dance performed by Layana from LBS College of Engineering, Kasaragod.
जल प्रवाह पावित स्थले कलेवलंब्य लंबितां भुजंग तुंग मालिकांतमड्डमड्डमड्डमन्निनाद वड्डमर्वयं चकार चंड तांडवं तनोतु न शिव शिवम् जटाकटाह संभ्रम भ्रम निलिंब निर्झरी विलोल वीचि वल्लरी विराजमान मूर्धनि धगद्धगद्धगज्ज्वलल्ललाट पट्ट पावके किशोर चंद्रशेखरे रति प्रतिक्षणं जटा भुजंग पिंगल स्फुरत् प्रणामणि प्रभा कदंब कुंकुम द्रव प्रलिप्त दिग्वधूमुखे मदांध सिंधुर स्फुरत् वगुत्तरीय मेधुरे मनो विनोद मद्भुरि ओम नमः शिवाय। सदा शिवं भजाम्यहं सदा शिवं भजाम्यहम् ओम नमः शिवाय। प्रफुल्ल नील पंकज प्रपंच कालिम प्रभावलंबि कंठ कंदली रुचि प्रबद्ध कंधरं स्मरच्छिदं पुरच्छिदं भवच्छिदं मथच्छिदं गजच्छिदान्धकच्छिदं तमन्तकच्छिदं भजे अखर्व सर्व मंगला कला कदम्ब मंजरी रस प्रवाह माधुरी विजृंभणा मधुव्रतं स्मरान्तकं पुरान्तकं भवान्तकं मखान्तकं गजान्तकान्धकान्तकं तमन्तकान्तकं भजे
That was indeed a beautiful performance from Layana. Thank you very much for entertaining us. Next, I would like to once again call Joy Verghese sir for announcing the unit-wise awards of the Mapathon.
Thank you. With permission of Dr. Chitra, who was supposed to announce the results, I would like to announce colleges, not unit-wise, colleges selected for Mapathon Award. First one is College of Engineering and Management, Punnapra, then Government Engineering College, Wayanad, Amaljyoti College of Engineering, Kanjirapalli, College of Engineering, Trivandrum, and Adi Shankara Institute of Engineering and Technology, Ernakulam. So these colleges are selected for Mapathon Awards. And I once again congratulate Amita, Vipin, Pinu, Amalraj, and Muhammad Adil Ashraf for their great achievement, especially their contribution to the map is very good. Yesterday we observed that. I once again congratulate these our dear mappers for contributing to the state. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Next, let me invite Mr. Cherry, Cupid CEO and OSM enthusiast for small talk. I welcome you, sir.
Hi, everyone. Am I visible?
Yes, sir.
Hi. I have just shared a few slides with Adil. If it's possible to display it while I speak, that would be very useful, please.
Okay, Cherry, 1 minute.
Okay, so while that's happening, let me introduce myself. I am the CEO of QuickPick. We are really happy to support this event for the reasons that I will try and explain in the talk. What we do is to have a conversation with young people and students in India. And we're working on a really exciting new product that we will announce in public later on. It's not relevant for this talk. I come personally from a background of open source. So one of the things about me, despite the hat, is that I have actually walked from the north of Kerala to the south, touching all district headquarters towards the goal of telling people and presenting the idea of free and open source software in a project called Freedom Walk in 2008. And we took 44 days. And it was the most amazing experience of my life. By the way, I can speak fluent Malayalam, but because this is a multilingual audience, I have been told to speak English. So I am going to continue. Excuse me. So yes, thank you. The slides are up. And my journey with open source began from the point of view of an engineer. So I went to an IHRDE college called College of Engineering Adur, which at the time was this was before the KTU existed. So at the time it was under the Cochin University of Science and Technology. And while I was a student, I was involved with free and open source software. Okay, let me jump into my slides. What I'd like to talk to you about today, and I believe I have about 15 minutes, correct me if I'm wrong. What I'd like to talk to you about is the immense possibilities from the point of view of entrepreneurs and people who want to start new startups with the ecosystem of the OpenStreetMap world. And many of the people that I know in the OpenStreetMap world come from the free and open source software community, but they also now have benefited from and done amazing things. And some of them have even started companies and consultancies around mapping and OpenStreetMap. But I can tell you that one of the core sort of ideas or strategies in our company is based around OpenStreetMap. And we believe that we can be a unicorn company, which is able to take advantage of this OpenStreetMap data. And I'll talk about data in a second. So it's very well known in the world of corporations now that data is the new oil. The idea is that data is so valuable that it is more precious for corporations and companies out there that want to make money, more so than oil, that companies are now fighting over data. And therefore, there are a lot of other issues around privacy and how corporations relate to our privacy and how much control they have around us and so on. So there is a great conversation to be had with governments as well. But I'm going to try and explain why data is considered to be the new oil. This idea came from around 2009 when a PhD student called Li Feifei, she was of Chinese origin, but she at the time worked at Caltech in the US, I believe. She was looking at the idea of how to classify images into different labels. So for example, if I have the image of a cat, how can I use an algorithm to find out if this image that is being displayed is indeed that of a cat, or if it's something else, or if it's a dog, then it's a dog, and so on and so forth. And as Li Feifei, who was working in computer vision at the time, tried to understand this problem, she realized that actually, even if they used the latest heuristic techniques at the time, what we now know as deep learning did not exist at the time. So they were using probabilistic models such as Markov models and so on to and some level of neural networks to see if they could do what is called image classification. That is the name of the problem. But what they realized was that there were not enough pictures to use to tell the system that this is an image of a cat and this is an image of a dog. They didn't have this data set. And so what they did was they went around painstakingly developing this data set. Initially, they thought they would pay students an internship amount of $10 an hour to actually go and start building this data set. Eventually, they figured out there was a crowdsourcing platform called Mechanical Turk where they could pay people much less, but get much better quality work. Anyway, they manually built this huge database of pictures which were labeled. So each picture would have a label associated with it. Could you not change the slides, please, until I tell you to, please? Can you go back to slide number 2? Slide number 2, please. Data is the new oil. Yeah, I'm talking about that. So she came up with this data set in 2009, and what happened immediately in the research world around computer vision was that the quality of the classifiers went up immediately. And the first people to really come to fame with this were Geoffrey Hinton's group in the University of Toronto, where they found that they could almost 25% improvement over the previous existing algorithms simply by training on this ImageNet data set that Li Feifei had actually created. And so although many of the algorithms behind deep learning existed from the 80s, these were not very new algorithms, they existed from way back. But what happened was that computing power went up, so GPUs came into the scene and you had a lot more computing power that you can imagine since the 80s. But at the same time, there was not enough quality data, right? And so this is when people realize that the quality of the data that you have is really where the value of your algorithms are. And this idea has now come to like global scale where people like Google and Microsoft and so on have invested immense amounts, billions of dollars to create high quality data sets in images, in sound, in maps, etc. Right? So could you move on to the next slide, please? Thank you. Can you move on to the next slide, please? Yeah, so the next slide this is roughly what a label data set would look like, right? So for every row, there will be a label, and there will be several versions of images showing what an airplane is, for example, or a cat is, or a dog is, or horses, and so on. And what the algorithm does is to understand that any of these images is actually representative of that textual label. And so this form of data is really very valuable. And back in the day when Li Feifei was building this data set, the only way to build it was to sit down and manually look at a picture and give it a label, right? So a person would have to actually look the same way that you do an image capture for Google, for example. You would look at an image and then say, this is a horse or this is a cat and so on. Next slide, please. And so what happens when an algorithm runs over an image is that it runs through a sort of prediction network, which one of them is a neural network. There are several other approaches. And what the network would do is to find out what the label of, if given an image, what is the highest probability label that it can match to based on the data set it has seen before. So for example, if I've seen pictures of several cats and I'm shown an image of a cat, then the probability that what I'm looking at is very likely to be similar to the label that was matching with the images of the cat, right? So that's what a very hand-wavy way of understanding how a neural network classifies images, right? Could you get to the next slide, please? So roughly this is what it looks like, right? So given an image, you want to know, is it a cat, is it a dog, is it a hat, is it a mug, right? And so what the algorithm does is it looks through, and this is a specific variant called a convolutional neural network, but what it does is it actually creates like a probabilistic distribution on the several sort of buckets of classifications to understand which bucket has the highest probability of matching with this image. And in this particular case, it's an 82% chance that it matches with a cat. That doesn't mean that it doesn't match with a dog. It's just that the lower probability, it's a lower probability that this image belongs to a dog, right? Because the dog also has a nose and 2 eyes and ears and so on, right? So it's a probabilistic understanding. Why am I talking about this? Next slide, please. So if your algorithm is really good, this is the outcome you would get, right? Every cat will be predicted as a cat, and every dog will be predicted as a dog. Next slide, please. And so to come to the question of how data is so valuable, you can see that before 2009, basically every team was below 25% accuracy of what they called AlexNet, which Jeff Hinton and his team got through in 2012, which really kicked off the deep learning revolution and the AI revolution that everybody talks about today. That was the paper, the seminal paper and the seminal project that kicked off what we know today as the AI revolution. And so what was driving, the fuel that was driving this AI revolution was data, large amounts of data. And this is when corporations realized that they actually have to go and grab as much data as possible for as cheap as possible. That is why we now hear the phrase data is the new oil, because back in the colonial times, what would companies go after? They would go and invade countries just to get control of their oil. The same way today we have this rush, this gold rush as it was, to go and collect and privatize as much data as possible. Next slide, please. So this is where OpenStreetMap comes into the picture. When Google started creating maps of the world, the conditions under which they collected these maps was very proprietary. They would happily take your recommendations and your labeling on a map. So, for example, similar to how you would label a particular image to be that of a dog or a cat, you could label on a map, this is the name of this village, or this is a temple, or that is a stream, right? So there is different forms of labeling going on maps. And Google would happily take your data, but once it went into the Google black hole, it would never come out unless you paid money for it, right? So it was a great deal for Google. People would, put data in it for free. They would spend a little bit of money to seed it, and then people would, give data in. But it was almost impossible to pull the data out. And this is when a few people I believe it was in a pub in London somewhere, sat together and said, hey, this is not a great idea. If we need to use these maps, we need to pay a company which got this data for free. So why don't we put together a map where we make sure that everything that we map is open for everybody to take for free, basically, right? So they opened the map data and they said anybody can now use this data for completely free. And you can put in new data and add data from your neighborhood. So this is an example of a mapping party we did last year. QuickPick actually ran a mapping party last year. And we had a participant from this completely rural place called Shakti in Chhattisgarh, right? And so on the top of the image on the top you can see is quite sparse. There's somebody probably looked at a satellite image and drew the national highway and then maybe a few streets here and there, and then maybe the path of the river, it perhaps was looked at from a map and then drawn. And then this guy called Rudra, who was a local, he lived in Sakti, he was part of the neighborhood mapping party. And he said, wait a minute, I want to map my neighborhood. So he went and he actually lives there. So he knows where the Papa's Harbor is. If you could look at the bottom image, it's not very clear, but he knows where the Shiv temple is. He knows where all these markers are, and he went and he corrected the path of the river and so on. And you can see how detailed, this map of a completely unknown place in the middle of rural India is, right? Now think about it. Would Google spend any money to map this unless they found it to be commercially viable? Very likely not, right? And so there's a question of who will map the heart of India. A place like Shakti is actually the heart of India. This is where the real India lives. Who is going to map that part of it? Is the Ordnance Survey of India going to map it? Is Google going to map it? Well, it turns out that people who live there can themselves map their local neighborhood. And this is where the real power of the map is, in terms of empowering people to actually contribute to things that are useful for people where they live, where they actually live, right? So if you think about it, how much money do you think Google would have spent on creating a map of India if it was not crowdsourced, right? They would have had to spend several millions of dollars to get, recruit the right people to go and get the data and then bring it back and verify it and look on a map. And it's going to be a huge operation, right? So you can imagine the monetary value of what people have now started contributing for free and is available for free on, OpenStreetMap is actually very, very large. And now companies are slowly warming up to this idea of, what's in, how can they get their hands on this map so that they can actually create money? And I'll talk about it in a second. But before we go there, next slide, please. You can also see that the empowering aspect of this map, and I'll wrap up in a minute. I have about a minute left. This is an example. When I was in Bangalore, I visited my friend Aruna and Arun. They were working in Mapbox at the time, and the Chennai floods were happening. And they were struggling over a technical problem that I tried to jump in and help out with. And it turns out that this was the flood map they were developing. Now, what is a flood map? Anybody who lived in Chennai could tell the world if the street where they were living in was underwater or not, right? It's a very simple idea. Is your street underwater? You click it. If the water has gone down, you click it again. And I know, from personal experience, my brother lived in Chennai at the time. He was able to use this map and navigate to find his family because he knew which roads to drive on that would get him to his family and pull them out to safety, right? So flood maps was an example of a fantastic locally driven effort where people were actually able to, help themselves and allow other people to help them, right? And so flood maps really got a lot of attention, and people then copied it. Even during the floods in Kerala, people put it together, and I was sort of part of, behind the scenes trying to encourage this thing to happen. But it's a really good example of how OpenStreetMap has a social value. And this is where the NSS comes in. And I really applaud the NSS for pushing this project, because it is a real national social value to actually have this kind of public map available to everybody. And I can tell you about it later. You can just hit me up on Telegram or email, and I can talk about it later. We don't have time for it now. Moving on. Back to the commercial side of OpenStreetMap, you can see these are the corporations. If you look at the edits now, you can see Facebook and Uber and Apple are paying people to go and map on OpenStreetMap. Why are they doing that? It's a really interesting idea. If you look at the free and open source projects, like Linux kernel, for example, initially was just individuals contributing code for free. After a while, companies realized, wait a minute, all that code together is really valuable. Let's also pay people to do this. This is when the Linux Open Source Center, IBM started their own, Intel started their own, Red Hat, an entire company came around that. Solaris, which was a project by Sun, was entirely built on the BSD operating system, which was open source at the time. Macintosh kernel was built from, I forget the name of it now, but like a microkernel that existed, and FreeBSD. A whole bunch of people started using free and open source software. And you can see in this case specifically, with OSM, now companies have begun to understand that, wait a minute, this data is really valuable. Even Microsoft Flight Simulator uses, OpenStreetMap data. So people are beginning to figure out how. And I'll give you a little bit of a hint of how startups are now beginning to get involved. The major one is Mapbox. If you can move to the next slide, please. Mapbox is a company that raised $227 million US. What do? They provide extra services on top of OpenStreetMap, which makes their APIs valuable and directly useful to companies to use this data. You can look up on their website how they do it. So this is what's called a SaaS model, right? And now there are new companies like us trying to figure out how to take it to the to the data itself and try and see how we can monetize the data. So here's, if you can move on to the next slide, please. Here is is a map of India where we had direct connection with people who we had absolutely no connection to before. So you remember Shakti, and do you remember what's his name? Rudra, the person who was mapping Shakti. We did not know him before the mapathon. This is a person who lived in rural India where we would absolutely not have any contact with him before. But after the mapathon, we were able to create a network of people who understood what we were trying to do, supported us, and are beginning to kind of help us out. And, you know, we're trying to interact. So this kind of reach and trust network is an aspect of OpenStreetMap that people and companies are slowly beginning to figure out. Moving on. Next slide. There's a few areas of OpenStreetMap that are now hot and companies are beginning to figure out. The big one, which is the coolest one, is getting satellite imagery and automatically converting it into mapping data. The community doesn't like it very much because the algorithms right now do not actually create very accurate data. And so once the automated mapping comes out, and if they put it in without review, what happens is that the volunteers then have a lot of work to go and clean up incorrect data. So at the moment, the community is a bit suspicious of this kind of activity, but we know for sure that as the algorithms improve, this activity is going to get exciting, and that's where new startups can actually come in and help with that algorithm. Routing applications, you know how Google Maps can actually take you through the worst possible route sometimes? I mean, I drove from Bangalore last month and they took me to some dead ends when I drove into Kerala, right? Why is that happening? Because Google doesn't have that routing information that gives them perfect local information. With OpenStreetMap, if it's locally mapped well, you can even have footpath routing, right? Where can you push your bicycle or walk into like an unpaved road? This kind of information is available. And of course, e-commerce delivery platforms, we are beginning to look at that aspect as well. Are going to be able to use data from open source, from OpenStreetMap to get their business models going. So this is kind of the broad, and I'm sure there are more, but I just wanted to throw you 3 examples of where companies are now beginning. I'm about 4 minutes overshot, but I'll stop in a minute. Where open source companies are beginning to look at startup companies that want to be unicorns are looking at OpenStreetMap in order